The city's stormwater program is regulated under a permit from the Maryland Department of the Environment. And we've had this stormwater permit since 2002, but just in the last year, in 2018, they issued a new permit and updated some requirements in the permit.
A big part of our responsibility with the new permit that we've received from MDE and EPA is that we have to treat 20% of the impervious area within the city. Impervious areas are rooftops, sidewalks, blacktop, driveways, all those things that the water doesn't percolate through but simply runs off.
In the city the size of Hagerstown, we've calculated that means providing treatment for maybe as much as 400 or 450 acres of impervious surface. The city is looking at maybe as much as $25 or $30 million that we need to generate and try to have these projects online by 2025.
Folks that think if they live in West Virginia or Pennsylvania or on the Eastern Shore or way out in Western Maryland are going to sort of get away from this, that's not going to happen. So the city, like all of these other local jurisdictions, has to implement some fixes to some of these stormwater flow issues that are impacting the bay, just like any other jurisdiction does, because like every other jurisdiction, we have built up the environment around us in a very urban way over a long period of time without taking into account the long-term impacts that the quantity of flow generated from storm systems and the quality of that flow going into the bay has on that ecosystem.
And things that we're concerned about there are nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, which pollute the waters and cause unhealthy areas and dead zones in the water. Also trash and sediment, which is soil being conveyed downstream. So on the flooding issue, what we're trying to do there is look at areas in the city where there's flooding of private property and issues that we just don't have the resources right now to address. On the water quality issue, what we're trying to do there is actually clean the water before it leaves the storm drain system and enters the waters of the state. So that might involve removing pavement, it might involve rain gardens, it might involve other methods that are called best practices to remove nutrients from the water. So when we received our permit requirements, the first thing that we decided to do was form a stormwater advisory committee. The committee is made up of citizens of our community, and they represent various parts of the community. We wanted a diverse set of voices to help us solve this problem in the most efficient way possible.
Our solutions may be very different, our sense of what stakeholders we may represent. There are of course differences there, but we have to kind of agree on the challenges so that we can be equitable and supportive of people in other groups, of other groups of stakeholders. So the conversation has been around how do we reward what's going well? How do we encourage different groups of interested parties to collaborate with each other as we have been able to do at this table, and to sort of try and make a positive out of what is it's a challenge.
There are really two basic ways of raising revenue like this. One would be a tax increase that would affect all property owners that receive tax bills now. The other way is implementing what we're calling a stormwater user fee, and it's actually a fee that is based upon how much impervious surface you have on your property, because the more impervious surface you have, the more runoff you're generating, and really the more you're straining our stormwater system.
I'm sure that if you look at Frederick City, who's had this fee for a long time, and in some of the other jurisdictions that are adopting it, the city's going to have to implement some type of stormwater management fee that allows us to be able to pay for the projects that the state and federal governments are mandating that we have to do to correct those stream resource stormwater management impacts that we're having.
I would certainly contribute towards it. I lost a brand new truck. I had a brand new Isuzu box truck that I paid almost $80,000 for that got under 6 feet of water and was totaled. I lost another pickup truck, and we lost probably $50,000 to $100,000 of inventory from the building being flooded. So we lost a significant amount of money, and certainly would be happy to contribute a little each month or each year to help solve the problem.
During our time on the committee, we spent multiple meetings discussing a credit policy to help soften the blow of the cost for everybody affected. We discussed new construction, redevelopment, and also voluntary practices for the homeowners themselves.
As a church, we don't pay taxes. We're blessed by that. And we don't necessarily face that dilemma, which I know is a challenge for some people. We do pay our electric bills and our gas bills and all those sort of things. But as a church that has a lot of hard surfaces around it, as a large parking lot, we need to be aware how that impacts the system. Is it something we want to do and paying fees for that? Probably not, but it's something we need to do, something we're called to do, something that is important for us to do. So we will engage in the process. We will pay our part of keeping the environment that we care and love about as safe and as pristine for ourselves as well as for those who come after us.
It's important that the water quality of what's heading to the Chesapeake improves. The water that comes through here is just filthy. It's full of trash and debris, and every bit of improved stormwater management that we can do improves the quality of our drinking water and improves the quality of the Chesapeake Bay.
So we have a lot of work to do in front of us, and some of it's very expensive. But the first thing we want to do is figure out ways to kind of address the low-hanging fruit. And some of the things that we can do to improve water quality would be accelerate our street sweeping program to pick up more trash and solids off the street. Would be to actually physically clean out the inlets by lifting off the grate and sucking out whatever debris and trash is in there. And also be planting trees. I think you'll see a significant increase in the amount of trees that we plant every place basically we can find, because that gives us credits towards meeting that 20% pavement reduction goal. So we're standing here at a place that most people have probably never been to. It's in City Park, it's the north end, and behind me a large storm drain drains most of the west end. There's drains like this all throughout the city. This is just part of the network of drainage that conveys water from wherever it falls on the ground, eventually hitting the Chesapeake Bay. The thing about the system is that most of it's underground, so most of us don't even think about it. All most of us care about is that when it rains, that the water gets taken away. And where is away? It's just like when you have a piece of trash and you throw it away. Away is an actual place. And in this case, when something is thrown on the ground, on the street, and it's washed away, away is like the stream that we're standing here today. It's the Antietam Creek, it's the Potomac River. It's not good enough anymore for us just to say, as long as it goes away, it's fine, because it is affecting all of us. It has an impact, and when we all do that, it has a cumulative impact that's very significant.